Welcome to Between the Reads, where we shine a spotlight on some of the most talented Black authors in the industry to discuss their works of fiction and the inspirations behind them. Each episode will dive into the rich and diverse world of literature, exploring everything from historical fiction to romance and speculative fiction to YA and beyond. Tune in as we celebrate the voices of Black authors and the power of storytelling. Are you ready, Boos and Bros? Then sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Hey, welcome to Between the Reads, Rants and Rambles. By the time you are hearing this, it will be the last day of April. What have you done all month long with your life? Welcome, as my new saying for the show, y'all, that Chelsea didn't think I was going to say, is we are some rowdy rabble-rousers who are ridiculously rambunctious and getting into all the bookish treachery. Chelsea,
Rants
how you
and
doing,
rambles,
girl?
you guys. Rants and rambles.
And my left eye is tearing. My allergies are acting crazy, so y'all are gonna, those who are watching, you're going to see me constantly wiping my eye. That is why.
Y'all, my eye is twitching like a mug, so I don't know what's happening. I'm just like, okay.
So it's my left eye and her right eye, so between the two of us, we got two good eyes.
I would say one because I can't see on a good day. So
Neither can I, so maybe we're going blind here. I don't know.
possibly, I don't know. I think it's funny because when I went and got my hair done, I had to take my glasses off, and my hairstylist handed me the mirror. She was like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Well, first of all, let me put on my glasses because I can't see nothing." I was like, she's like, "Oh, like you wear those? It's like not a fashion statement." I'm like, "No, homie, I can't see."
Like, nah, sis, you want me to see that? I need my glasses, please. My barber does the same thing. It's like, hey, I'm getting ready to go today after the show, and he's gonna hold the mirror up and be like, "You know, I got to put my glasses on, bro."
Right. It's just that, oh, I wear glasses too, but it's just like for readers or whatever. And I was just like, okay, that's nice, but like, I can't drive. I can't even walk from here to the door without my glasses.
Nope. I mean, I could do it, but it's gonna be fuzzy.
Okay, well, I haven't been able to see on my own since the second grade.
She said on her own. I don't.
Miss Thomas's class, I was in the back of the class. I was like, what is she writing on that board? I have no idea.
So did you go home that day? I've always wondered with kids, like, so did you go home that day and you were like, "Mama, I can't see the board"?
No, I got a bad grade on a test because like it's not like all of a sudden, boom, everything's fuzzy. It's just kind of like all of a sudden you're like, huh, I saw this last week. Now I don't know what she's writing. And it's just kind of like, huh. So you just like, what is she writing? What is that? And you copy it from somebody else who copied it down wrong. And the problem with me, my parents found out because like, not to like hype myself up or gaslight or anything like that, but I'm just really smart. So I went from getting like hundreds on all my stuff to like getting like 70s and 80s, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was just like, "I don't know what she's writing." And they were like, "What you mean you don't know what she's writing?" She's like, they're like, "Did you not tell her?" I was like, "Well, she put me in the back because I was talking too much, so I decided not to talk, and I didn't know." So I was just, she told me to stop talking, so I stopped asking my neighbor, and I didn't know. And so they were like, "Can you see?" And I was like, "Not really." She was like, "Why didn't you tell her that you couldn't see?" I was like, "Because why can't I see? This is a new experience for me." So then my parents, they were like, "Okay, well, it only makes sense because my dad wear glasses, my mom wear glasses, my brother wear glasses, my aunts wear glasses. Everybody in my house, in my family wear glasses on my mom's side, and a lot of them on my dad's side." So it was like, "You probably just can't see." So they went and they hooked me up with some glasses. I was like, "Oh, snap, new world." This is 2020 focus.
This is what the world looks like. Ooh.
Clearly, every time I get new glasses, I was like, "This is what y'all be seeing in 2020?" Damn. Okay. All right. And I be trying to explain it to my husband when we out and about. I was like, "You have to understand, I have blue light filter glasses, so my world always looks like some shade of yellow or whatever for the blue light filter. So whenever I put in my contacts, I'm like, wow." And he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "This is the world, homie, without lenses, without like an object in front of your face." It is so funny because we be walking sometimes, and he's like, and he'll say something, and he's like, "I saw at the corner of my eye," and I was like, "Oh, you have peripherals. I can't see nothing through this gap." It doesn't work that way. So it's just kind of like, oh. You didn't have to turn your head to see that? That's amazing.
So what you saying is somebody could sneak up on you from the side?
Hell no, because I still got it. I'm not stupid. Like, I can't see, but I'm not dumb.
The mother senses kick in.
Yeah.
What you doing, homie?
Like, what you do? Why you this close to me? Like, I might not know what it is, but I know something is there. Just assume that I assume you're friendly before I assume you're an enemy.
I need you to stop right now. I'm done. I'm
just saying. Y'all seeing folk be wild to me.
Listen, I was a seeing child until I hit, how long has it been now? I think I was 45. That's when my whole body fell to shit. That's when menopause started. And we were driving home from West Virginia, seeing my parents, and there was a sign on the side of the road. And I was like, how is nobody outraged by this? And my husband was like, by what? I was like, that sign said grilled children. They got a barbecue over there. They are grilling children. That is cannibalism. My husband was like, you're going to the eye doctor when we get home because that said grilled chicken, ma'am. You have an issue. So we get home. I make my first appointment. The doctor comes in being a smart ass talking about, Mrs. Russell, I just want to know one thing. I said, what? He said, where's your seeing eye dog? I was like, really? He was like, no, seriously, because you need bifocals because your long vision is horrible. Your short vision is horrible. I was like, so how much do I have to wear these glasses? He was like, when you're driving, when you're reading, when you're watching movies, when you're walking. I was like, so pretty much to live, right? Yeah. And he was like, yeah. But then the funny thing is, I can't, like, when I'm on the computer, I cannot wear them because the bifocals are too close and the other one is too far and it makes it muddy. So I have to, like, just not wear glasses when I'm at the computer, which is weird.
You know, I would love to give you advice on that, but I can't see at all. So it's like I have to wear glasses at the computer. So there is no in between. I don't have bifocals. I'm very nearsighted. So if something's like this close to my face, I can see it without my glasses. But it has to be this close. But if it's any distance away from me, I have no idea what it says. I don't know what it looks like. I can tell you a color at best. I can tell you a general shape.
I can read my screen right now, like my lap, because it's right here. But if I put my glasses on, I wouldn't be able to see. It's weird. It's
like, honestly, with this, Audra, I know that you're on screen, but you look very purple to me.
Wow. Okay.
Like, if there are words on this screen, absolutely not reading them. Like, that's when the eye doctor, when they're like, okay, can you take off your glasses and read the letters for me? I take them off. I'm like, nope. No.
No, ma'am. Not gonna happen.
What you want me to tell you? Like, I know that they're there. They exist. I can't see them. I can't tell you what they are.
Memorize them for you and tell you by,
can't even do that. I don't know what they look like. I can't even tell you that. Because the reason I'm in your office is because I need a new prescription. I don't know what that says.
Man,
can't help you.
We just messed up with these eyes, man.
Truly. And let me tell you, I made a YouTube video about this, but the last time I went to the eye doctor, tell me why living out here in the country is a whole scam, Audra, because I went out to the eye doctor and I went to my whole appointment. I went through it and ain't nothing but white people in here when I walk in the first place. And I'm like, okay, this is a scam. Okay, where are the black people? I feel like I'm about to be freaking taken. Okay, this makes me feel unsafe being in here in the first place. But anyway, I'm like, this is the only eye doctor in the entirety of this city. So I'm like, I'm going to go. And I go through the whole appointment and tell me what I'm about to go get these glasses. And homie is like, you need to run me a quick $300 for these glasses. And I'm like, sir, do I look like I carry $300 on me to see? Like, this is a scam. I did not choose to be blind. Okay. Why are you trying to charge me $300 for glasses? And so I was like, no, sir. Give me that prescription. I'm going to go right online and go get my glasses. And tell me why it took me 3 different tries, because find out homie wrote down the wrong prescription. So homegirl in the freaking eye doctor place is adjusting it to what it actually is. And the one that he gave me is wrong. So I had to like figure it out through trial and error with my previous prescription, because I'm like, you know what? this is something that probably y'all don't understand if you ain't never been to an eye doctor, but they give you this thing called PD, which is your pupillary distance, which tells you how far off center your eyes are. How cross-eyed are you, right? So I know what my pupillary distance is, and for most people, once you hit like your 20s, and your prescription kind of like narrows out. I'm not talking about people like Audra who got hit with eye problems at 45. I'm talking about you had eye problems your whole life. By the time you hit about like your 20s, your prescription starts to like level out, and your eyes don't change that much, so you can start going like years without updating your prescription. Because I didn't need a new prescription, but I wanted new glasses, and I was just like, I'm gonna go ahead and get this updated prescription because we pay for insurance. Insurance is a scam, and if they ain't gonna do nothing, they're gonna run this check, because if I have to pay them, they gotta pay somebody. Okay, so I was like, let me go get this prescription, and I put it in online. Tell me why I come back, and I'm like, what is this? My eyes like all types of crossed, and I'm just like, this is not right. Send this back immediately. Okay. So I thought it was the company, because I'm like, I'm trying out a new glasses company. Let me go ahead and go back to my old faithful and go get them from there. I get that same prescription, and I'm like, bruh, this ain't it. So I'm like, let me get my previous prescription, and I look at it, I compare them, and I'm like, oh, this is why, because the dude did not measure my pupillary distance correct. And I'm like, nah, homie, you got me really out here. And the thing is, if you wear the wrong prescription, you would actually make your eyes worse. And I'm like, not him out here trying to make my eye prescription worse, so I come here and pay him some more money. This is a scam. And if you think that I will not drive my ass all the way into Charlotte or the next state over to go get an eye doctor who's going to give me the right prescription, I absolutely will. I got an electric car, but gas means nothing to me.
Okay, so vroom vroom is not the right, like,
it's like the breeze. Yeah.
Because them electric cars be sneaking up on your ass, man. They quiet.
Yo, I love my little electric car. Like the person behind it, sure, is problematic, but I like my little electric car. It goes. I had never. You know how long it's been since I've been at a gas station? It's lovely. I don't have to go to a gas station.
I have to go to the gas station all the damn time, and my car takes premium.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a choice.
Well, one of my truck takes regular, so sometimes when I don't feel like, dealing with them premium prices, I just go drive the truck. But
because even when me and Ben were like regular gas car hunting, and we were like, oh, we could get a nicer car. I was like, no, we can't. We can't get nicer gas prices. Absolutely not. My mom had a BMW for a long time growing up. That maintenance and that gas, homie, that's a whole scam. For what? For why? Who are you impressing? I got here the same time you did in your Honda. Hell nah.
It's got 4 wheels. It's reliable. Gets you from point A to point B. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so electric car I like, because the biggest thing, and I say this all the time, I just like being able to sit in my car with the garage down, and I ain't got to worry about looking at nobody walking past, and I don't have to worry about killing myself either. I can sit in there with the heated seats, car running, music loud, minding my business, garage down, and every time I leave the house, I got a full battery.
There you go.
So
I'm jealous.
It's a nice experience. Ain't even gonna lie.
I bet it is. Yeah, we looking at maybe getting something electric soon, because
there are a lot more options now.
Yeah, so. And the gas prices are getting really, really ridiculous. I mean, they've already been ridiculous, but now they're getting really ridiculous. So.
If you're getting a Tesla, at the time of this recording, last time I talked to Ben, because he keeps up with stuff like that, because he's like super techie, and he's like, the car that we have now is actually cheaper with the tax credits and stuff that are currently available. So if that's something you're looking into, would recommend.
Yeah.
Because we've decided to keep our car until the wheels fall off, because
that's why all the cars we have, except for the one we just bought for our daughter, all our cars are paid off. So I'm just like,
I ain't there yet, but I'm trying to get there.
We keep a maintenance regularly.
And that's another thing. Electric cars don't really have maintenance. You have to change the tires and get them rotated and put washer fluid in, and that's it. Like, that's the whole maintenance for the car.
I hate you, Chelsea. You're annoying.
Okay.
She's like, go ahead and hate, but I still got a Tesla.
Still gonna hop in my electric car to go get my expensive coffee when we get done, so that's fine. Be mad.
See, this is why I can't stand her. Because she just flicked them locks. She was like, okay.
Not the first person. Not gonna be the last. It happens.
Oh, y'all. I cannot tell y'all how much I love doing this podcast with Chelsea, because It's so nice to do something unstructured and just we talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. And this shit is hilarious. At least it is to me. Good time. If you ain't laughing, you should go evaluate your life. Yep, there you go. That too. See, Chelsea, quick. She stay ready with the comments.
Look, man, I grew up with a bunch of really mean white girls. I had no time for sensitivity.
Listen, so did I, but clearly we
but see, you were small.
Had two different reactions to it.
You were small. I was big. So when they came for me, I was like, okay, well, we can do words, but I'm gonna also knock your little ass out. Keep talking to me. Right? Like, I don't know where you come from, but my parents are very clear. If they start some shit, you better finish it.
Because I was little, so my dad was like, please just try not to get into anything because, you know, you little and you will get your ass kicked. So, you know, I just kind of like, they say stuff and I get a little mouthy, but then I would like, you know, I only took it so far because...
My parents was like, you better not come home and have your ass kicked. You better do the ass kicking. Okay?
Why are black parents like that?
They said, we're not bringing no L's in this house.
Why do black parents do this? I'm gonna beat your ass if you get your ass beat. That, like, seriously?
I mean, it wasn't a thing if they was gonna beat my ass, but they was like, don't let these little white girls think they got something on you. It's like, you better fight for your life. But I also think it's just like, you know, like how you can deal with some people, and some people are all talk, and some people are like really unhinged. What people don't understand about me is I am fully unhinged. Like, the way that I keep myself constrained for the public and for society is effort. If you make me put effort into like keeping myself hinged, it's going to snap real quick. Okay? This is a facade, okay? Absolutely batshit crazy under here. Okay?
Don't try me.
You. I am not the one.
What does that mean? You fuck around, you go find out.
And my fuck around is real low, to be honest. I'm gonna be real honest.
Yeah, mine is real low too. My husband be like, you know, you talk so much trash, like you can fight. You ain't ever fought a day in your life. I said, that's all right though. Let somebody mess with me. All this rage that's been pent up for 52 years, let somebody mess with me.
Look, I ain't even got rage. I just actively dislike people, and the facade is that I have to get along with you. But understand that the effort is going into being nice. The effort will not be going into beating your ass. That comes naturally.
See?
Just
why I need you on my side. So we need to go out together. So when somebody starts some shit, I'm going to be behind Chelsea peeking out from like under her arm like, yeah! Chelsea gonna whoop your ass. Go, Chelsea.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm just saying, you bigger. You said you can fight.
I might have something quick, but I ain't starting no shit. I might finish something, but I ain't starting nothing.
I'm saying they start something.
And if you instigate, I'm gonna let you start. I'm gonna let you finish it.
No, you are the bodyguard. I'm gonna peek out from under your arm and be like, go, Chelsea, get him. Hold me back.
And I'm be like, I don't know who Chelsea is. I'm Courtney. She clearly has the wrong person.
So you ain't gonna have my back, Chelsea?
Hell no, not if you start some shit.
Okay, but what if they started?
Okay, that's a different matter.
Okay, like I said, when they started, I'm gonna peek out from under Chelsea's arm. I'm gonna be over here like this, like, yeah, you better watch it, cause Chelsea gonna whoop your ass.
And this
Get
is
him,
why
Chelsea.
Me and Audra are never going out, because she's gonna be the person who wanna start some shit and then expect somebody else to finish it. And it's like, no,
listen.
I ain't never been in no fight either, Audra. Just because I am willing to fight to the death to defend myself does not mean that I'm willing to go out here and scrap with random ass people.
I'm ready to fight to the death too. I'm just saying, but you
better
go
throw
first.
Me out first.
Yeah, cause you taller.
Nah, I'm gonna let you get him in the ankles first, and then and then we can square up. How about that?
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna let you go first, cause you instigating.
I already clarified. I'm not instigating. That they started it. So if they start it, we finish it, and you go first, cause you the biggest and the strongest. See, I only started working out like 4 months ago. See,
okay, that's more than me. Do you see this fly on me? What the hell am I supposed to do?
You still strong and you tall.
Y'all act like
them out.
height got something to do. Like y'all ain't never
It
seen
does.
no videos of little people knocking big people out.
Listen, but most people are scared of tall people, so you could just be like, nigga, what?
You
And
realize
just
I'm
do
not
the
no
shape.
6'1" giant, Audra. I am
It
like
don't
5'8".
matter. That's taller than me by like 6 inches.
Then maybe you should stop talking, little short person.
I have already clarified. They start with me. People always tried it because I'm short. See, you tall. You could do the Kevin Hart thing where he's like, nigga, what? And you just shake at them, and then they'll just leave you alone. Nigga, what? Because I'm like the Kevin Hart. He said, all I got is that. I go, nigga, what? I shake. But if they still coming at me after that, I ain't got nothing. That's me. I do the shake. I go, nigga, what? And if they still keep coming, that's when I have to push you in the way.
I'm good unless they knock my glasses off, then I can't see nothing. So
Then I'm going to need you to wear contacts when we go out.
how about you don't start nothing and you walk away when people are antagonizing you? That's an
Why do you
option.
keep thinking that I'm starting something? I have said at least 4 times now, they started.
Because there's a difference, Audra, between somebody talking shit and you starting to fight. Just because they talking shit, like I can talk shit all day, every day. That comes naturally. And I can stand my ground. But I'm not starting an altercation, okay?
I'm not either. If they
You
start
said
with me,
Chelsea would beat your ass. Those were your words. Chelsea
yeah,
will
because
absolutely not.
they talking trash. So Chelsea
Words
gonna
is
get 'em.
words, homie. Words is words.
Chelsea gonna get them.
Hell
Chelsea.
nah.
Chelsea
You better
gonna
stay
get
over there
'em.
in your lane. Stay in your lane.
You're not gonna beat nobody up for me, Chelsea.
Hell nah.
See,
Now,
this is the kind
I
of
will-
friends that everybody needs. Somebody that's just blunt, like, look, I will let your ass get run all
Absolutely.
over.
Especially if you the one talking shit, you better back it up. But I'm not about to be out here bruised and busted because you want to run your mouth. Like, absolutely not. You better call your husband, call one of your kids, somebody who's going to defend your honor. Okay? This is not ancient China. I will not do that.
So, see, Chelsea said, I got your back. Way back.
I got your back from a distance. Okay? Now I will talk shit with you all day, every day. And if they swing first, I got you. But if they just talking, it's gonna stay at talking until somebody else do something. Okay?
Okay. Well, I mean, you'll at least talk shit with me, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
She said, I'll go the words distance.
I will
with you,
drag
ma'am.
whoever you need to from here to Timbuktu. Okay? Absolutely.
But we draw the line at physical, unless they come at us first.
But unless they swing first, nah. Don't start no won't be none. I'm not finna start shit. But yeah, I can roast you from here to Timbuktu. That's fine.
Oh, my stomach hurts from laughing so much. Oh, y'all, this is just Chelsea. This is my girl. Everybody needs a friend like Chelsea. That's all I'm saying.
I am not everybody's friend, though, to be clear.
Yeah.
Audra is a special circumstance.
Like-
I don't like people. I'm not being hyperbolic.
Like,
okay?
don't go to her trying to, like, be her friend. Like, for real, I'm honored that she calls me her friend, because Chelsea truly does not like people. She likes her family. And some of her family she probably don't even like. Okay? I caught myself.
You said that real blanket, like.
I caught myself. By family, I mean Ben, her husband.
There we go.
Okay?
I love Ben. Ben's my favorite person.
There you go. So, I feel honored to be among the people that Chelsea calls friends.
Yeah.
So, but
Strangers?
don't do it.
Whew. Let me tell y'all, the facade is strong. I promise you. You will not know. You will not know.
Unless
That's what
you
I'm
listen
telling you.
to this podcast, and then you will know.
It's so crazy, Audra, because it's clear that I can tell that people don't be listening to me when I be talking to you, because they be like, oh, Chelsea, I've never heard you curse before. Obviously, I don't like you because clearly I am not comfortable around you. What? Look, even my mama knows that I got a potty mouth, okay?
I mean, this is just, this is what we do. This is what we do. Cursing is my therapy. I never curse. People used to make fun of me because I would never curse. I started dating my husband and dealing with his crazy ass ex-wife. I wouldn't curse around my kids, but
I started cursing around high school because there was this idea like only stupid people use curse words, and I can curse you out with SAT words at the same time. Actually,
she said, "I will
you
curse
fucking
you
imbecile."
Out.
Okay.
She said, "I will curse you out with all of my intelligence." Okay.
Okay.
Every bit of it.
And actually, if you read an article, you would know that people who curse are actually more intelligent because it's a way of emotional intelligence to relieve frustration so that you don't lead to what lower imbecile thinking people believed to be fisticuffs. Yep. That's what curse words are for.
Yep. I read that article. They actually did say that intelligent people do curse.
It's relieving. Like, you know, if I could just be like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't have to come up and chop you in the throat.
And try and catch a charge because you on some bullshit.
Yeah. Nah.
It's very simple.
It's very simple. It's very simple.
I mean, really. It's just, you know, we can cuss people out with all of our intelligence, and it's a wonderful thing. And it's so freeing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. So freeing.
So, unless you an elder...
I don't know. Even elders can catch it these days because some of these elders out here are on some straight disrespect, and I'm not here for it. You don't give me that. You need to respect your elders because if you want me to respect your elders, then you will respect me.
Well, I've never had the opportunity to run into a disrespectful elder. I don't know. Maybe I give off the I'm not the one energy. But
well, see, I used to give off the people pleaser energy, and that's why. So yeah, but elders been catching it lately. So
yeah, I've learned to just be like, you know what, I haven't said this because I'm trying to be respectful, but you're really towing this line, because like I said, I was literally talking to one of my mentoring clients last night, and again, it's really funny because people really don't believe me when I say that I am the problem. Like, I know that I am the problem. Absolutely. And it's just kind of like, I was talking to her and I was explaining to her because we ended up talking about teaching, and you know how I feel about teaching. And so I was explaining, like, there's a certain level of personal accountability that has to come when you are talking about yourself. Like, sometimes you have to admit that I am part of the problem. Like, my teaching career, the way it ended, I was absolutely part of the problem. Because it's just like, there's this whole concept of like paying your dues. First of all, fuck that. Y'all pay me to be here the same as everybody else, okay? I don't care that you are, like, got a decade on me, and so? And what? You still are working with these same crazy ass people that I am, okay? What does that mean? Exactly. What does that mean? They still treat you the same way they treat me. So, like, what is this paying this dues concept? I don't understand. Because the way it's set up in my mind, I will be broken under a bridge before you sit here and disrespect me. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And so, principal got, she got real disrespectful. And I was just like, you know what? I've been putting up with this. And I've been stressed out. The hell am I the only one stressed out for? Because...
Surely they weren't paying you enough to be stressed out like that.
First of all, they weren't. Second of all, I'm real cool, but it's like, what you're not going to do is sit here and disrespect me in front of other people and think I'm going to just take it. Because, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. You remember how I said that my mouth gets slick real quick? I remember the moment we were sitting in one of our little teacher, whatchamacallits or whatever, where we had, like, during our planning period once a week, all the teachers on your grade have to get together to be, like, basically touch base with each other, make sure y'all all on the same level, and, like, just be like, oh, my kids are behind on this lesson, so we'll do this to catch up, and yada, 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 whatever. Principal came out her mouth and was just like, well, Miss Lockhart, I'm gonna need your lesson plans 3 weeks in advance because you're on a teacher improvement plan. And I was just like, oh, so we're just gonna make that public knowledge. And I looked at her and I was like, well, I guess you must be hard of hearing because Ms. Ramirez just said that the math lesson plans aren't going to be ready for another week. And I don't do math lesson plans. She's like, well, that means you're going to have to do them yourself. But I was like, but you just said that I'm not allowed to do them because I'm an inadequate teacher. So why would you expect me to make plans when she hasn't done them yet and you don't believe I'm capable of doing them? So either you're lying either one way or the other. Right. Either you're lying and saying that I'm an inadequate teacher or you're lying and saying that you want these lesson plans done. Either way, you're contradicting yourself. Right. And mind you, we are in a whole conversation with, like, other teachers, and they're just going back and forth and back and forth. Like, you're talking to the principal like this? I don't give a fuck who this little bitch is. She ain't going to be talking to me like that. Okay?
She's just a person like everybody else in this room.
She shit in the toilet just like everybody else. Okay? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And she was like, Miss Lockhart, this is not the time and place to address this. I was like, well, you're the one who brought it up. She's like, well, I expect those lesson plans by third week. You'll get them when Miss Ramirez says she'll get them done.
Boom.
And she's like, well, Miss Lockhart, well, Miss Bowen, I don't understand what you want me to tell you. She just said that they're going to get them done. If you want them next week, I suggest you take that up with Miss Ramirez. If you want this English lesson plans, I suggest you take that up with Miss Showgreen. I write social studies lesson plans. What you want me to do? I'll get that to you by next week because I was going to do it anyway.
But other than that, we had an impasse.
We're at an impasse. Okay?
You'll get it when I get it from them. I said what I said.
Said what I said. And when I ended up leaving, basically I was in her office and she was like, so Miss Lockhart, I'm putting you under the teacher improvement plan. I was like, does that mean I can't transfer out of this school? And she was like, well, if you're in a teacher improvement plan, that does mean that you can't transfer. I was like, so you're saying that I have to be here for another year? And she was like, well, yes. And I was like, are you going to be here for another year? And she was like, well, that's the plan. I was like, okay, I'm not signing this. I'm not signing this.
No, ma'am.
And she was
I'm not doing another year with you.
And she's like, well, you have to sign. I was like, first of all, I ain't gonna do nothing but be black and die. First of all. Second of all, you're not my mama. You can't tell me what to do. Third of all, I ain't finna do nothing on this piece of paper, so there ain't no point in me signing it. You can be mad. You just wasted your time writing it up. Well, if you don't sign this, I'm gonna have to write you up. Waste your pen. Waste your time. I'm not doing it. And so she's like, well, I'm gonna have to document that you didn't sign. Document whatever the fuck you need to document. I'm not signing it.
You obviously have a thing with paper and pen today that you need to do these things. Go ahead.
Get it done. And so I went home and I talked to Ben.
Did you buy a new pen yesterday? Is that what you gotta try out your new pen? What's going on?
So I went home and I talked to Ben and I was like, nah, she's talking about I'm gonna have to be here for another year. This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. So I was like, I'm out. Because if I have to come here, I was like, when I got to the point where I was just like, yo, if a stranger walked up to me and was like, hey, I can murk this person for you and get rid of the body and nobody will know. And I was like, I would absolutely take up that offer with no hesitation. It's time for me to go. Time for me to roll out. So I came up the next day with my little wagon and I packed up my class and I was like, let's go. She said, Miss Lockhart. I was like, first of all, Kayala, don't be calling me by my name like that in the middle of the hallway. Second of all, you can't tell me that I can't leave. Okay, she's like, you signed a contract. I was like, well, Texas is an at-will state. You can fire me for any reason. I can walk up out of this bitch for any reason. So bye. So yeah, and the kids were like, oh, Miss Lockhart, Miss Lockhart. And the teachers are coming down the hall and they're looking at me like, ooh, what's happening? What's happening? Miss Lockhart, can we discuss this in my office? Ain't nothing to discuss. I quit. I'm leaving. I will not be here. Do not refer to me as Miss Lockhart. I am no longer a teacher in this establishment. This whole place can burn for all I care. I'm getting my stuff out before it catches fire, okay? Because this is clearly hell, all right? No, thank you. So as I'm packing up my stuff, she's like, you come to my office, you come to my office, you come to my office. I was like, you need to get up out of my face because I'm not leaving until I got all of my stuff, because the way I'm not turning in my keys and my class is locked and my stuff is still in here, you got me fucked up. Hell nah. So I'm packing up my class. I'm like, be mad. She's standing in the door with Miss Lockhart, Miss Lockhart, Miss Lockhart. And then she tried to grab my Bible. I was like, if you touch my stuff, I'm going to break your hands.
I wouldn't give it anything to see you with your wagon. Just pulling down the hallway like, don't fuck with me.
And she was like, and I was like, we need to talk about this. She was like, we need to talk about this in my office. I was like, we can talk when I'm done. And so I finished packing up my class, and then I took my stuff down to the office, and my kids saw me in the hallway, Miss Lockhart, you leaving? Absolutely. Have a good day. Go to the gym. Went down and had this office. She was like, well, call the superintendent. Call the superintendent. And she was like, you're so dramatic. I was like, I ain't being dramatic. You see my shit? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. This is your problem, homie. You figure out who's going to watch these 25 bad kids.
Mm-hmm. See, that she didn't expect you to come in and pack your shit.
She didn't think that I was about what I was about, and this is what I mean when I say I'm absolutely about whatever I say that I'm about. If I say that I'm going to leave, expect me to leave, okay? I am not about that life. I will absolutely be broke and hungry before I let somebody sit here and disrespect me.
Yep.
No, ma'am.
Yep.
It's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me.
Yep.
So,
you know, I just realized that I named this Rants and Rambles 2033, so...
2033. I hope I'm not still talking about this in a decade. Shit.
We did a time leap forward, y'all. Say it. Anyway. Going to give anything to see her pulling her wagon down. Fuck y'all. Fuck you and definitely fuck you.
For sure. And then the assistant principal is just looking there and sitting at me. And she's looking at the principal like she said she was going to do this. You did this to yourself. Like, she was perturbed, but she also was like, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. She had this look on her face like, yeah, I get it. I get it. And then the superintendent, when I tell you, I told all her business on that phone call. Absolutely told all of her business on that phone call. Because he was like, why are you leaving? I was like, well, first of all, she's sending kids back to my class, refusing to accept them when they get written up, even when they're being violent, because she doesn't want those pink slips looking bad as a district because she wants to impress you. Second of all, she doesn't send an aide to my class. So I've never had any of the help that I need. So none of the kids' IEPs are being matched, and she's making up documentation saying that it is. Third of all, I have parents coming to my class and she's turning them away because she doesn't want them in their class to see how their kids are interacting. Fourth of all, she's calling me down to her office and then she's blaming me for having bad scores when there are aides in my class who aren't supposed to be there and who aren't qualified to teaching my class during those things, and she's blaming me for my kids having bad grades when every Thursday 3 times a week, you know, I'm in her office during the 30 minutes I'm supposed to be teaching science, and somehow that's my fault that I'm not teaching through osmosis. And fourth of all, I was like, I've gotten a UTI 3 times this year because she refuses to send an aide to my classroom and she writes me up whenever I'm in the classroom and another teacher is covering my class. I also have sent kids down there because they're throwing chairs and brandishing knives in class that they brought from home, and somehow that's my fault for I'm being written up for. And I've been on a teacher improvement plan for twice this year because I did not use materials that were not provided to me by the district, and she's implying that I should work for free and spend my own money to supply my own classroom. And when I brought that to her attention, she said that was my fault and that wasn't an appropriate suggestion. That's not what she was saying. So unless this changes, I was like, I will happily stay here if you get rid of her. But if she's going to be here, I will tell you right now, I will happily shove rusty nails into my eyes every day for the rest of my life before I come here and work another day with this woman, because I promise you, if I have to come in here, I'm a killer. And he was like, well, you can leave. And I was like, yep. What do you need? He was like, just send me an email saying that you resign effectively, that you are abandoning your position. I'm abandoning my position. I will send you that email immediately.
I guess she was just looking at me. I guess he thought that, you know, you using those words are going to be like, oh, I'm not abandoning you. You ain't going to intimidate me with no words. See, this is
leaving,
what I know.
Abandoning, quit, adios, sayonara.
I need to keep a cup of tea here in this little closet with me, because when Chelsea starts spitting these words, I need to be just drinking my tea. Like,
this is why I work for myself, y'all. This is why I work for myself, because I don't care who you are. If you're an adult, you should have adult comprehension skills to understand that when you're talking to another adult that they don't have to do shit that they don't want to do. So I don't care if you're paying me. That don't mean shit to me, bruh. Like, you're not the only person with dollars up in this world. And honestly, even in like teaching, I was like, this ain't even worth it. Because first of all, y'all expected me to grade stuff on my own time. Y'all expected me to make lesson plans on my own time. Y'all expected me to work for free. First of all, I ain't built that way, okay? You need to run me a check every single time that I have to put in hours.
Yep.
And then, like, the stuff that you have to do with, this is not a teaching rant, but let me tell y'all, when I tell y'all that teaching is for the birds, y'all need to be, this whole country needs to be grateful that y'all have teachers to begin with, and the only reason y'all have it is because they're either people who have been in too long and they need to retire, people who need to pay off their student loans, so they're doing Teach for America for 5 years until they can get that forgiveness, or people who are too dumb and naive to get into it, and they're like, I need a job, so I'm gonna go ahead and get into teaching, because there's a reason why you don't need any college education to be a teacher. There's a reason for that.
Get out of here. I thought you had to have like a bachelor's degree and all of that.
No, you have to have graduated high school.
I could have sworn you had to have a bachelor's in elementary education.
You have to get a certification, and if you want to like negotiate your pay or anything like that, or you want to be a specialist, then yeah, you need a degree. But you don't have to have you just need to have graduated college to become a teacher. You can get a certification in like 3 months online. That's what I did, and then you just pass a test for whatever state you're in. To be like, oh yeah, if I'm gonna teach second grade, you have to be able to identify that you actually know what the fuck a triangle looks like. Now, if you don't know that, you probably shouldn't be teaching nobody. But yeah, it's not hard to become a teacher. It's not hard. Even with my track record, if I wanted to go and become a teacher right now, I could. I would never. the way this pandemic is set up, no, no. Nope. We have not talked about anything bookish on this podcast yet.
It's called Rants and Rambles. We talk about whatever. But I will start with one thing, and then you can come in with which. So, Resist Booksellers, if y'all don't know, they are a Black-owned bookshop in Petersburg, Virginia, and they are the first indie bookshop in over 50 years, I believe. And I believe they're the first Black-owned bookshop in Petersburg. Mm-hmm. Either the first ever or in quite some time.
I think it's the first in quite some time, like since the 80s.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, Either way, they are in one space right now. They are building up the second space that they're going to move into. I've seen preview pictures. It's going to be amazing. Demetrius and Selena will be announcing the opening that's going to happen Juneteenth weekend. And they are the official bookseller for my other podcast, Staying on Code. So you can visit them online at resistbooksellers.com. You can order books online anytime, and I get their books faster than I get books from Amazon. So
yeah. And if I can add to it, if you don't mind me hopping in, Audra.
Yes, ma'am.
We are Dying Gods. The second book of my series is going to have a book signing at Resist Booksellers in August when it releases. So if that is something that you're interested in, it's August or September because I'm doing it at the end of August. So August, September, I'm having a book signing at Resist Booksellers in Petersburg, Virginia. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want to meet me, you want to get some signed copies of the book, you want to visit the new books location because we're just going to speak it into existence that they are absolutely going to get it and it's going to be successful.
It's done. They're working on it. It's being remodeled right now. Like, ooh.
So then, yeah, come on out. I still have to work out the exact date and details, but I've already talked to Demetrius about it. It is already like verbally confirmed. We just have to work out the final details. So yeah,
we are Dying Gods. The new space is going to be so beautiful, and you can follow them online on Instagram at Resist Books. It's resist_BKS, and I believe they are also on Twitter. Just look up Resist Booksellers because I don't remember what their handle is.
If you follow me on Twitter, you can just like scroll my feed because I retweet them all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I am still in the running for this podcast competition with the American Black Film Festival. They have a podcast competition. I keep checking. They're going to announce on May 12th. So far, I am still in the running. Yay! So if that happens, that means I will be flying to Miami on their dime and get a chance to do a podcast episode live there. I don't know what all that entails, but so keep that in your prayers. And I'm still trying to decide whether I will end up having Black Indie Author Week this year because it runs kind of right up against Indie Author Week. And I don't know if I want to be trying to plan that and go to so May 12th, I will know for sure whether I'm going to do Black Indie Author Week this year or not. I may just do it on a smaller scale and not have like speakers every night of the week, but we'll see what happens. So
we'll see.
That is what I have. Miss Chelsea, what do you have?
Y'all know I got stuff. So
she got stuff on stuff.
But positive things first. We Are Dying Gods has gone out to my beta readers, and so far the feedback has been collectively good. So I am still like rewriting large chunks of it because the way my brain is set up, I'm like, okay, this needs to be different. This needs to happen at the beginning of the book and not the end. So gonna be rearranging stuff like that. I also get my feedback from my editor this Friday. So 2 days. So I'm excited. And
yay.
I am arranging for ARC readers in a street team this year. And the way the ARC readers are like, I want a book. I'm like, y'all, this is amazing. This is crazy. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to be putting together a street team. So I'm still figuring that out, like how I want to go about finding people. But yeah.
Now, what is a street team, ma'am?
Street team is basically like, the best way I can describe it is like they're like you're in between your betas and your ARC readers. So they're the people, they're similar to ARC readers in that they get the book first, but instead of being like, oh, they have a major platform, basically they're on your team. So they like read the book and they like leave a review on Goodreads ahead of time so you can start building up some of that like that hype. But then they also are the people sharing it and requesting it at libraries and stuff like that, and like helping you with like reach out and stuff like that depending. I saw a video about it. I think her name is Jenna Moresi. She's a white lady on Skillshare, but she has really good information about it, and I've watched her class on it like twice, and I'm going to watch it once more so that I can, and I've taken notes on it each time. So it's really actually really good. It's got a lot of good information. It's very simple, concise, to the point. So if you have Skillshare or you have a free trial from somewhere, I would absolutely recommend Jenna Moresi is talking about street teams and how to like self-publish a book, whatever. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but the part that she's talking about street teams I found extremely helpful. So
it sounds like it's kind of like a brand ambassador for your book, kind of.
Something like that. It's more like basically it's like your team, kind of like how
like a marketing team.
Basically, because you know, like how like music artists have like their fans and stuff who are like, go stream this person's music, go stream this person's music. Like that's basically the same thing for books. Like recommending it to like influencers and stuff like that, and putting it in people's mentions and stuff like that, and like just generally hyping the book to like make it successful. So.
Well, you know, I'm gonna end up doing that for you anyway. Whether I'm on your, I'm gonna be my own street team for Chelsea, because y'all know how I feel about Miss Chelsea and these books. I mean, she had me dressed up as Brandy because I love that book so much. Yeah. Like, yeah,
it's really cool too because yesterday when I did the art, so I know that if you're listening to this, I'm probably like all over the place, but if you don't follow me on TikTok, it's C as in Chelsea, Lockhart, my last name, and then Write, W-R-I-T-E. And basically I posted a video being like, hey, you know, if you guys want an arc for book 2, let me know. And it's just like, you know, bonus points if you're Black, and bonus points if you have already read We Are the Origin, because obviously it's a sequel. So it's just kind of amazing because some of the people that I reached out to, they were like, when I DM'd them, they DM'd me back immediately. Like, they were on it. And I was
they did it how?
Immediately. So, it was just like, and I had 2 different people completely unprompted be like, I am already rereading the first book, and one of my like biggest hype people, I feel like she's going to be like the head of my street team if I actually put like together an official one. She was like, I need y'all to know that I absolutely love Bookish Pixie on TikTok. Is Bookish_Pixie. She's amazing. She has every version of my book available.
Wow.
And she has bought it for me directly. And she bought the audiobook for her husband because he's dyslexic, and he listened to the audiobook, and he's also now obsessed with the book. And she was like, I'm going to do, she was like, when I messaged her, she was like, yeah, I was planning to do a reread of the book, like a buddy read or like a public reading or whatever of it on her page between June and July to hype the book up, hype up book 2 because it comes out in August. And I was just like, ma'am, the way that I appreciate you so much is like absolutely insane. Nice. It's crazy. So I'm just,
sounds
like
really you
excited.
got the leader for your street team already.
Yeah. So I'm just like, me and one of my other author friends, we were talking about it. It's like, you know, authors, one of the things that like I recommend, and I'll probably talk about this on my own podcast at length at some point, but like when you're making your teams or whatever, it's just like you have your public team where you're just like, yeah, you have your public sign up and people can be like, oh, I want one, and they can volunteer themselves or volunteer other people. But then you also have like your secret team where it's just like, I don't care, like you even if you gotta ask, I'm sending you a book. And it's just like, I definitely have some people on my secret team where it's just like, you are absolutely getting a book. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm like trying to get up the courage right now to like ask El Penelope if she would want to read my book, because the way I respect that woman so much, and if she gave me the approval, I would feel like I won. But I'm also like, if she said it wasn't good, I would be like, oh crap, I'd be devastated.
I just had my first cohort.
I listened on her podcast. She said the first one was this week.
Yep, it was last night, and it was good. It was just, and it was actually interesting because I know there were more people signed up for the class, but it was just me and one other guy in the actual. But she records them so they can be replayed for anybody that has the class. But it was just us, so we were able to talk through some things. I'm hashing out some stuff for this novel that I'm writing, and it was good. Leslie knows her shit, so yeah.
I absolutely believe it. And I was like, if I had the disposable income, I absolutely would have signed up for it. But I was just like, even after doing the budget, I was just like, there's absolutely no way that I can afford this right now with a book coming out and all the stuff that I have to like do for it. It's just like the timing for it just isn't great. So if she does it again in the future, I may sign up for it, but that's a whole other thing. Let me get to the point that I was, this is like updates for me. Like I'm just talking about myself at this point, but let me the thing that kind of got me like in my mind this morning is, if y'all don't know, the Melanin Chat, what we do on the YouTube, what Audra and I do on the YouTube channel, first of all, it's coming back May 9th, so tune into that 10 a.m. But also we have a Discord server where it's just like we talk about things, and it's been a little quiet, but one of the things that kind of like was interesting to me this morning is the fact that there are like authors who are still very heavily pushing Barnes and Noble because Barnes and Noble has like these pre-order sales or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, you know, since the last time this happened or whatever, I think it's been like a couple of months at this point. My whole perspective on traditional publishing has really shifted because something that I don't know if I told you this, Audra, something that I did on a whim. There was an agent who followed me on Twitter, and she does like international stuff, and I queried her just like on a whim. I was just like, I'll just send it, see how this turns out. And she got back to me yesterday, and she was basically like, she rejected me, so like that's okay. Fine. But it wasn't like a form rejection. She was like basically like, hey, I'm interested. She was like basically, this sounds really good and I like your writing, but I don't think I can represent this. But I would like to connect with you either on here because it's like a separate sign. It's like a separate third party thing that you have to go through. She's like, I would love to connect with you more either here or on Twitter to talk more about your upcoming projects and such. So it was just kind of like, okay.
Did she say why she couldn't represent you though? Why she couldn't represent it? Did she give a reason?
It wasn't that specific. Let me pull it up because I shared it with my other author friends and I was like, hey you guys, explain this to me. She said, I am not the best fit for We Are the Origin at this time, so I will have to pass. I am, however, happy to see other projects you might be working on now or in the future and will be open to having a conversation. If you are, feel free to reach out to me here or on Twitter. And so I asked my... This time. And honestly, that's not surprising to me because We Are the Origin has already been out for basically a year at this point. And We Are the Origin's also already in stores overseas. So it's just kind of like she's an international agent for international rights. And it's just like that's already pretty much been handled at this point. And it's just kind of like... That's kind of where my mind went because, like I said, it was on a whim. I wasn't really thinking about it because I was like, I probably should have queried a different book. But I was just like, let's just see how this goes. And I was just kind of like, the connection has been there. But the reason I brought it up in the first place is because I asked one of my traditional author friends and just kind of seeing how her transition from self-published / indie to the traditional world has been really interesting because she's kind of like sharing some of the inside info. And I was listening to another podcast earlier and it was just like, you know, indie authors make more money than traditionally published authors. Like that's a fact. Like the median income for traditional published authors is less than those for self and indie published books because publishers get paid more. Like your publisher earns out before you earn out your royalty and can start making money again. So that little $5,000 or $8,000, and I don't say little to be disrespectful, but I can say that as an indie author that I have definitely made more than a $5,000 or $8,000 advance that I would have gotten had I gone traditional. And it's just very interesting that people are still pushing this, especially with Barnes and Noble. And I have kind of come to this idea that, you know, this whole idea of traditional publishing in Barnes and Noble, it's just like, like the only reason to do it at this point is for the prestige. And it's so interesting because I was thinking about this morning, Audrey. You can let me know what you think about it, but I feel like it's so interesting that, especially as Black people, like the height of prestige or clout or whatever is getting into a space where you're not wanted. So it's like getting into traditional publishing is such a boon. It's such a feat or whatever because they don't want you there. Or like getting into Barnes and Noble is such a big win because they don't want you there. And I'm like, why is it such a big thing to be someplace that you're not wanted? That's so weird, homie. Like traditional is, I think there's a place for hybrid publishing, I would say, because like I don't think everything about traditional publishing is bad because they do have a reach or whatever. But this whole idea, scam.
You know how I feel. I started this podcast because in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I realized that all the books that I had on my shelves were mostly white authors. And I mean, I had the canon, I had Toni Morrison, I had James Baldwin, I had Richard Wright, you know, because those were books I had from college. But as far as fiction, it was white, and it wasn't like I chose, I'm only going to read white authors. That was what was pushed at my libraries. I was a lazy reader. I would go into the libraries and look at what they had out, and unless it was Black History Month, they didn't have out any Black authors. And I didn't, maybe it was because I wasn't into the bookish world on Instagram at that point, but I just did not see or hear about any Black authors other than maybe Walter Mosley, or like I said, they would push the old canon. I heard about Jesmyn Ward, but I didn't hear a lot about, and definitely didn't hear anything about Black indies. So I realized during the pandemic that had to change. I said, I need to stop being a lazy reader and waiting for someone to recommend a book to me, or looking on bestseller lists, or just looking at what they put out on display at the library, because 9 times out of 10, they are not going to have Black authors. And then when I started looking, because I've always wanted to write. I wrote 4 books before I wrote Bloodland, and they were just books I did for the practice of it, just to get the feel of writing a book and, get down the mechanics of it and all that kind of stuff. And I read about writing and all this kind of stuff. But when I decided that I wanted to publish Bloodland, it was after I had queried, and this agent asked to see my manuscript, and then it came back with the reply that it wasn't believable because Black people don't have the kind of disposable income to buy their own farm, and there just are not, Black middle-class people, and this is just not a believable story. I was like, okay, I no longer want to be traditionally published. I will do this myself. Yes, I had some glitches. The cover didn't come out right. It could have been formatted a little better, but it's my book. It was out there. I did it on my own after, doing my research and all that kind of stuff. So for a first time on my own, I did pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I will not do is beg people to let me in their space. What I will not do is build a table in their space. I believe that Black people, no shade to traditionally published Black authors, but I believe that Black people need to tell their own stories. I believe that Black people need to publish their own stories because, one, if you traditionally publish it, you have to be on their timeline, and you could submit it to them and they could accept it, but it could not come out for a year, maybe 2. And it could get shelved in that process, so it may not end up coming out for 3 years. So now you're waiting 3 years. And even if you're writing another book and you want to submit that's going to come out behind your first one. So that's too long of a timeline for me. You're trying to build up all this, this hype for it. Nobody wants to hear about a book for 2 or 3 years. They want to hear about it, and within months, they want to be able to pick it up.
Yep.
So 1, I'm not doing that. And 2, a lot of times they want to water down your story. They want you to make it more appeasing to the white gaze. They want you to change it so that it doesn't make white people uncomfortable, or somehow they want to change the gist of the story. Third thing is that, more recently we've started to see Black authors in science fiction and all these other genres. They're being more promoted. But usually the kind of authors that they let through have a certain twist to their stories. It's Black struggle, it's Black trauma, it's racial terrorism against Black people. It's things like that only show us in states of struggle and dysfunction and violence. And we are more than just that. We are regular ass Black people too, who grow up in regular ass neighborhoods and have regular ass families and don't have broken homes and all this kind of other stuff, and single parent households who have functional mothers and have functional fathers. We are not a monolith. And I just don't like the narrative that I feel like was being pushed, because no shade to Toni Morrison, no shade to James Baldwin, but their books are very heavy on the trauma that we have gone through as Black people, and that's fine, because for they were kind of the first ones, so they wrote about what they knew. They wrote about what was in their heart, and that's fine. There's a place for that, but that's not all that we are, and that's why I don't like traditional publishing, because it seems like unless you have that kind of narrative, some kind of dysfunction, some kind of oppression, it's hard for your book to get into that space. And I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that. And I know people will argue with me and say that it's not all that, it's getting better. But the fact that we had a whole publishing paid me, and the fact that I still see stuff on Twitter all the time about how Black authors and other authors of color are getting slighted by these stores and things like that, we only have a finite amount of time on this earth, each of us. I'm not trying to spend my time struggling and trying to get into your space and get you to accept me. I'd rather do it myself, especially since in the traditional world, when you go and get a book published with them, they still make you do all the work. So why, if I'm going to do all the marketing, all the publication, they're depending on my platform to sell the book, why am I going to give you a cut when I'm doing all the work? I want all the money for myself.
Honestly, it's that. It's that. And it's really interesting because, like, my perspective on things is very it's very radical. I'm going to be honest with you guys. That's why my platform it's very pro-black for a reason. Mm-hmm. And it's because I don't believe in this narrative that's regularly pushed. I'm not going to say always, regularly pushed in traditional publishing, that black people are always the underdog. They are always their only value comes from facing problems that other non-black people would crumble under. That's not really my thing. And it's very interesting because it's just kind of like the books that I read that are really good, a lot of them are self-published, a lot of them are indie, and it's very interesting that with trad publishing, a lot of times I get those books and I have very low expectations for them. And for me personally, I cannot speak for anyone else. It's just kind of like the idea of what to expect from a book has shifted, because people used to be like, oh, it's self-published, you have to be kind with it. But now I'm like, oh, it's trad publishing, you have to be kind with it. You know, because it's just kind of like when I go into books 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I know it's probably not going to be what I would normally be interested in. And that's a lot of the reason why I don't talk about a whole lot of books on my spaces, because I'm like, I'm not like Audra. I'm not nice. I'm a judgmental asshole. And I'm just kind of like, I will not talk about a book if I don't like it. I've been in that space. I've been that person where it's just like, I want to promote this author because I want them to get their bag because they're black, versus like, oh, I really actually like the book. I don't do that no more. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I want to be mindful of that, like when I'm reading books and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of stuff where I'm just kind of like, yeah, no, this is this is not great. And with traditional publishing, I found a lot more recently that it's just like, yeah, like this is okay, but it's not like, oh my god, life-changing good. And for me to talk about it, I'm like, this needs to be like life-changing good. This needs to be like, to me, growing up, it was like traditional publishing was what with my writing. It's something that I wanted to aspire to, because like, these are the professionals. These are the ones who are doing things correctly. This is the writing that I need to use as a template to learn from to improve my own writing. Obviously, I was a child and traditional publishing was a little bit different. But as I've gotten older, I'm like, the things that I'm really learning from, like I'm learning from trad authors, but I'm also learning from a lot of self and indie authors, a lot more from how they write stories. Absolutely. And just the way that storytelling is done. I feel like trad publishing has this formula, this setup, this expectation for how stories need to be told in order for them to be sellable or marketable. And it's just like, I know for myself, the way We Are the Origin is written, it's not the same. It's not the normal, this happens, 3 things happen, like you have a upward, 2 things happen, and it's just like, oh, then we have the dark night of the soul type moment where it's just like, oh, we're questioning everything and then we come out on the other end. We Are the Origin is not written that way, and it's not written that way on purpose, because I'm just kind of like, this is not how people live. This is not how people react. This is not how people. And so it's just kind of like the thing with fiction stories, it's just like, if this is supposed to be interesting, you're supposed to connect with the reader. Why are they doing things that most people would never even think of doing? Why is it that the reactions and stuff that these characters are having, that has to be your suspended disbelief in order to get into the story? It's not the fact that it's got monsters, it's the fact that, we've got monsters and at no point did we think to run from them. At no point did we acknowledge that we are afraid. Or it's like, at some point, it's like you have all this power, you're supposed to be like this big bad, or you're supposed to be really talented, or you're supposed to be really smart, but all of a sudden that's completely nullified because plot. Because this needs to be done a different way. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, the way that I think about storytelling in general, it's just kind of like, I'm just like, I just want stories to be stories. And the idea of whether they are marketable or not, I don't really agree with that, because it's kind of like, who are you trying to market it to? Because with We Are the Origin, I can tell you right now that book is marketable, but it's, if you were to just look at it and if I were to tell you what it was about, you would not think that a large majority of the people who have read and loved that book are the people who have read and loved that book. Like, yes, I wrote it for Black women, but all types of people love my book. And I know because they've told me on my social media that they love my book, that they're rereading my book. Like, one of the people that I mentioned earlier in this podcast who are like, they're rereading it for the second time is a queer person in the Netherlands. So it's just kind of like, you can't tell me that the book isn't marketable. It's the fact that people so often, especially in America, people so often doubt that people want to see anything other than a mirror in their books. And it's just kind of like, yeah. And I think for a lot of people, especially with this book banning that's going on currently, a lot of, I'll just be honest, a lot of white people are afraid that their children are not going to be white supremacists like they are, because they are being exposed to different cultures and realizing that people are people, and that, a lot of things that come with white history is bad. Objectively, like, there is no sugarcoating it. So the fact that you have to take a stance and tell people that you don't want teachers teaching that Hitler was a bad person because he was white, it's just like, that is a lot more telling about you and the type of person that you are trying to raise than it does about anything else. And that's why these books are being banned. Not because they're bad, not because they're teaching things, not because you think they're harming your children. It's because you're teaching your children empathy, and they're teaching your children that they are not the only people in the world, that the world does not center around them, and you don't like that. Because what that does is that means that they come home and they challenge you, and they ask you why you do things, and they call you out on your bigotry and your misogyny, and they are like,
you
why
then
are you
have
like
to tell
this?
them why grandma and grandpa and great grandma and great grandpa were such horrible people, and they do not want that, because white supremacy is built on a very fragile foundation of lies and ignorance, and it's starting to crumble, and that's why they're trying to ban this. Because, like you said, they're going to have, their children are going to ask questions, because children do that. They ask questions and they have no filters. And what are you going to say when they say, why did grandma or grandpa do this? Why do you feel this way? What are you going to say? Because they're Black. Okay, but why does that bother you so much? They're not going to have an answer for that. That's what this is all about. That they have no foundation. That, like Toni Morrison said, when you take away racism, who are you? Are you smart? Are you tall? What are you without racism? What are you without trying to stand on our necks and oppress us? You're nothing without it.
And that is why, like, personally, and this may be an unpopular opinion, and I may get some, like, flack for saying this, but, like, personally, I'm not of the mindset of, I want to assimilate into this very white system that was meant to oppress us.
Nope.
I'm like, I would rather, like, coexist in my own space, doing my own thing. Like, I'm not necessarily like, oh, yes, we should integrate with the white people. That's not necessarily how I feel. I'm just kind of like, at my base core, I just want to be left alone to do my own thing without someone trying to stand in my way. Yes. If I can do that and you can do that, then I don't see why there's a problem. The issue with integration, as my parents explained it to me, of like forcing Black children into white areas, it's just like there was no reciprocal energy with that. White kids were not bused into Black areas. That's not integration. That's just a different way of forced segregation. That's just a way of continuing to other people, because it's just like, I have to be uprooted, but none of you were. There was no commingling. So it was just kind of like, even in the publishing world, I still very much feel like it's that way. And it's just like, when you get the statistics about how white publishing it is, it's just like, you, as a Black person who is very, I'll say very strong-willed and very like, y'all not gonna tell me what to do. Like, as y'all heard in this podcast, y'all not finna tell me what I can and cannot do. I ain't gotta do nothing but be Black and die. Right? And it's just kind of like, with that, it's just like, I don't know, I would rather build it myself. And like Audra said, if there's a table and everybody else gets a seat, but I only get one if I build my own chair. And even then I have to sit at the other end of the table, and I'm not allowed to speak unless spoken to. It's just like, no, if I have to build something, I'm gonna build my own table in my own house. And I am still obsessed with the song Better by Erica Mason, because it's just like, Shawty, if you're not adding to the plate, Shawty, you can't eat. And that's basically what it is. It's like, if I'm over here building my table, I am not trying to entertain any conversations with somebody who's not willing to put in the work. And it's not for everybody. And I recognize that. Like, so no shade if you want traditional publishing. If the prestige is what you're looking for, go for it. If you believe that is what you really want, go for it. I'm not stopping you. I'm not saying it's a bad route to go. I'm not saying that you shouldn't pursue whatever it is that's going to legitimately make you happy. I'm just saying that from my perspective, I personally can't see a way where giving up your creative freedom, giving up your the money that you can make financially, the ability to make decisions for yourself and your book, and to really put out something that you are proud of. I don't see how giving up those things in exchange for prestige, especially when a lot of the things that came with traditional publishing in the early 2000s is no longer even accurate in 2023. So it's like, you're not guaranteed to get in bookstores. You're not guaranteed to get large pre-orders. You're not guaranteed to get a book tour. You're not guaranteed to get marketing help. You're not guaranteed to get book signings. You're not guaranteed to get interviews. You're not guaranteed anything other than they will put out your book, and not even that they will actually push your book, because there are lots of books out there that get published every day that people aren't talking about, that are through these large publishing houses. And it's just kind of like, if you're not the favorite, and it's a shame that we have to word it like that, but the truth is what it is. But if you're not the favorite, if you're not the darling of the publishing house, then you're not going to be pushed. Because it's like, also think about it, what's the last book from Angie Thomas that y'all have heard about, have read? What's the last book from any of these big authors? From Toni Adeyemi, right? She had a big surge, when her books came out, and it was just like Children of Blood and Bone this, Children of Blood and Bone that, the trilogy. It's getting optioned for a movie. She was at the Met Gala. She was doing all this. When's the last time y'all have heard about anything coming from her? And it's just like, when you're not the darling, that limelight, that 15 minutes of fame comes and goes real quick. And it's just kind of like, if they're only going to push you when it's convenient for them, what happens to the rest of your career? Is this a career? Is it sustainable? And it's just kind of like, when you also consider out that they only pay out twice a year, like, how are you supposed to, mind you, it's an $8,000 advance, and you get that in 2 installments across the entire year. So that's even if you make it, you haven't really made it. And it's just like, what is that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to look like? And the fact that I think that these are a lot of questions that a lot of people don't think about until they're in it. It's just like, I think there's a lot more conversation that needs to be had surrounding this whole topic, this whole reality that people aren't willing to witness, because it's just like, as Black people, we have a lot more power than like buying power than we are willing to acknowledge. And it's just kind of like, you don't have to fall in line in a system that is meant to oppress you, especially not in 2023. Like, things weren't always this way, but in 2023 we have the internet, we have KDP, we have Ingram Spark, we have access to all of the same tools and information that that traditional publishing has, because you're like, oh, well, formatting, well, there are programs to do that for you. You can learn InDesign, because that's literally what I did. That's the industry standard. Oh, you're like, oh, but well, promotion. Well, you can learn how to do 100% of the things that traditional publishing does. And while it takes a time commitment, it is not hard. I promise you, it is not hard. So it's just kind of
you can find somebody like you who offers services and have them do that part for you. So, there's all kinds of options. If you don't know how to do it, or you don't have the time to learn it, then you find somebody who does know how to do it, and you pay them. And you save up I don't want to hear, I don't have the money for it. You save up your coins and you do it. Just like you save to get your sneakers and your expensive bags and your expensive sunglasses and go on your trips. If you're really dedicated to this and you want to do it, and you want to have your own money, and you want to have everything come to you, then you save up the coins just like you save up for anything else. And you do it. You do the research. You do your due diligence, and you find those people that can help you do the things that need to get done. It's that simple.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where it's just like, if you don't have the money up front, you're going to have the money on the back end. And it's the difference between, if someone's like, hey, pay me $100 or pay me $1,000 now, or I'm going to take 10 to 25% of everything you earn on the back end indefinitely. You know, that might sound like a better deal because you're like, I don't have any money. But like, here's the thing. If you pay me $1,000 now and you make $100,000, guess what? You still made $99,000, 900, whatever. You still made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay. But if someone's like, oh, pay me 10% and you make $100,000, now you've made significantly less because they're taking a portion of it indefinitely.
You've lost 10,000 instead of 1,000.
It matters. You have to think about stuff like that, and I feel like that's the difference between indie publishing and trad publishing. Indie publishing, you have to put the money up front, but everything you make on the back end is yours. You're going to make money indefinitely because once your book is out there, there's always going to be someone picking it up who's going to want to read it. As long as you're actively writing, there's going to be someone who's going to get into your books and then pick up your backlog. That's a fact, you know. But if you do trad publishing, like, they might pay you $8,000 up front or $10,000 up front. But they say if you have to earn out your royalties, it's like your book could get a significant boom 10 years from now, and they would still be taking your money because you wouldn't have earned out your royalty yet, and that money is gone. And it's just like, and you might have made that money back, but then the publisher is taking their cut because your agent gets a cut, your editor gets a cut. The publisher itself, they take a cut for printing. They have staff and things to pay. They have fees. So it's just like there's a lot of people touching that money before it comes to you.
Yep.
But that's a whole other conversation. So we're gonna leave that there.
Yeah.
Just know that I'm very pro doing it yourself if you can, or finding someone to help you, because also it's not as difficult as y'all think to put out a decent book. It's really not.
Nope, it's not. Even my first book, even with the little bit of stuff that I had, you know, I had a blip with the book cover. For a first book and doing it myself and, you know, doing the research that I did, it was a pretty good book. And now it's going to be even better because I'm, you know, working on edits, and Chelsea's going to help me rework my book cover so that it actually covers the whole thing. And, you know, but am I sad about the way it came out? A little bit, but also learning experience, right? So
yeah. And the thing is, and I say this to everyone's first book is a learning curve, because like Keeping Promises, that original version of it, y'all, woo, it was not what it needed to be. It was not what it needed to be.
But learning curve. And now look at you know, We Are the Origin. Look at, you know, look how beautiful that is.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, speaking of Audra, when we get off, I'm going to send you some of the sketches for the pre-order artwork that I got, because they look really good.
Woohoo! So we are coming up on an hour and 16 minutes.
Oh, so we can talk for a minute.
Yeah, an hour and 16 minutes.
She got the jokes. Okay.
I do have the jokes, you know that. So this has been, y'all, your April session of Rants and Rambles. I am Audra Russell, your host of Between the Reads podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Between the Reads podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Read It Black to Me. I am not on there as much. I try to be, but Instagram is my space. However, Chelsea, Twitter is her jam. Chelsea, tell them where they can find you.
All right, you guys. So y'all can find me on the interwebs at C as in Chelsea, Lockhart as in my last name, and Write, WRITE, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I don't really hang out on Instagram because I don't like it. It stresses me out. So Twitter and TikTok for the most part. I am also on the internet at Written in Melanin. So the Written in Melanin podcast, the Written in Melanin YouTube channel, I think
Melanin Library.
The Melanin Library, which is an online database of books written by Black authors. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. So if you follow me on Twitter, I just tweeted out a link actually. So if you want to decide what we focus on next, you have a chance to weigh in on that. I also send it out to the newsletter. So if you're not signed up, you should sign up for it, because every other week we send out some really great books by Black authors that you may or may not have heard of. So if you want to stay on top of things, sign up for that. I also have a personal newsletter where I send out information about my books and my personal stuff coming up. So if you're interested in that, check it out. I also have 2 Patreons, and yes, they are completely separate. One is for the Melanin Library, which completely supports the Melanin Library and what's happening. The The second one is for me, and that is just to support me, my books, and to learn about my author journey. And I also share all the things that I know about beta reading, about ARC reading, about everything else that I can share in my author journey. So feel free to check them out. I will send Audra the link so she can add them to the show notes. But it's Patreon.com/CM Lockhart, just my name, and Patreon.com/Written in Melanin, which is my business name. So.
And I will put my Patreon in there as well as Patreon something. Patreon /
Oh, and also I have books, y'all. So, like, I write. The first book is We Are the Origin, which came out June of last year. We Are Dying Gods came out. I don't have the cover for it yet, but it is, like, in hand. If you want to see it, head to my website, cmlockhart.com. It is there. It is the sequel to We Are the Origin, and it is coming out August 29th of this year, which is Audra's birthday. And no, that is not coincidence.
Nope. She said, when should it come out? I said, my birthday, August 29th. I was being funny. She was like, okay, bet. I was like,
let's do it. See, when I tell you I'm about something, I'm about it.
She about it for real. Don't suggest something if you don't want Chelsea to pick up on it, because there is a 90% chance that if it's good, she gonna pick up on it. If she likes it, she gonna pick up on it and be like, boom, let's do it. So I'm just
don't
saying.
say you about something you're not really about it, because I'm be like, oh, I thought we was making plans.
Just saying, y'all.
So,
just saying.
August 29th, you guys. And there is a pre-order box. So if you want like a candle, the bookmark, the pre-order merch, a signed copy, there's a pre-order box on my website, as well as a set. So if you want the set of the hardback, which comes with the We Are the Origin original copy, as well as the We Are Dying Gods, both of them signed with the map and pre-order merch, there is a set that you can purchase if you haven't gotten into the series yet.
Yeah, I need to go get that, because I don't know if I know I pre-ordered. I think I pre-ordered We Are the Dying Gods, but I think I need to go back and pre-order. I want to pre-order the box. So
I ain't gonna stop you.
I know. That's the same thing with the hair flip. I was like, I hate you, Chelsea. You're like, okay, but I still have a Tesla. So
I'm just saying, if you want to
hate on bitches.
I mean, you could also keep in mind that you guys, that if you want my books and you like broke as a joke, that's fine. Just go to your local library and request it. It's in there. They will find it. I promise you. You can. It's at multiple libraries already. If you haven't read We Are the Origin, so get into it. And if you got a big following on social media, hit me up, because I might send you a book. But you have to have a following. You got to talk about it. It's a exchange of services.
And the ebooks are also affordable, right? So
my ebooks are only $4.99. So
if you
want to read,
that's
not going to change.
So there you go. If you can't afford the paperback or the hardback, you could do the ebook.
Yeah, the paperback and the hardback do come with the full in-color map and pre-order merch if you purchase from me directly. Now, if you get it from Amazon, it ain't coming with no map. I'm be real with you.
You just get the book, and that's it.
There is a QR code inside the book, so you can get the map. So, yeah.
All right, y'all. So this has been another episode of Rants and Rambles, and we will see you again at the end of May. So make sure you do something with your life between now and then, because tomorrow is not promised. Until next time, y'all, you know what to do. Grab a book and read. And I'm out.
Thank you for lending me your ear today. If you've enjoyed this independent podcast, you can help me continue to shine the light on Black authors and their stories by becoming a patron at patreon.com/betweenthereads, or by giving a one-time gift at www.ko-fi.com/betweenthereadspodcast. That's ko-fi.com/betweenthereadspodcast. Tune in next time for another great episode.